topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask Good Questions podcast, broadcasting live every Wednesday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time on W4CY Radio at W4CY.com. This week and every week, we will reach for a higher purpose in money and life, as well as a focus on health and wellness. Now, let's join your host, Bonita Bell Anderson, as together we start with Asking Good Questions.
Hello and welcome to the Ask Good Questions podcast. My name is Bonita Bell Anderson. I am your host, and we have got a fabulous show today that is going to be, I think, super helpful. This has to do with travel and using credit card points wisely. We've got a super guest who has figured out a whole new system for this. And I'd like to invite Kunal Lakhwani to the podcast stage. Welcome.
Thank you, Bonita, for having me.
Yeah, you bet. Let me tell everyone a little bit about you. First of all, I'll say most people think that luxury travel is reserved for the wealthy or the obsessive points nerd who's got 47 screens available for him. He says he's neither. He's an immigrant who came to the United States. I believe it was from India, correct?
That's right.
And he's built a career as an engineer and stumbled onto a system where his everyday expenses generate enough credit card rewards to fund business class flights and high-end hotel stays. And he runs on Instagram something called rentals.and.runways, where he documents the art of travel hacking. And so he's turning credit card points into luxury travel experiences, which I think everybody should be interested in. Most people think this is out of reach, but he's built a repeatable system that doesn't require quitting your job or spending a lot of money you don't already have. So I'm hoping that our audience today is going to walk away knowing how to identify the credit cards that generate the most valuable points. Because I know I get credit card offers all the time and you don't know. And so we're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about how to find and book business class flights in luxury hotels, and how to build a simple, repeatable process. That's probably the most important thing that works alongside a busy life. He says he's not a guru. He's someone who's figured this out while working a full-time job. So with that, is there anything that you'd like to add to that?
I think that is the best introduction I've ever heard of myself. So thank you for that. Nothing to add.
Well, I mean, so you're an engineer, and you're also a real estate investor. He lives in Colorado. How in the heck did you ever stumble onto travel hacking? And what made you realize that this would be something that you could be interested in?
Yeah, so I, as you mentioned, I came to the US as an immigrant. I came here to pursue my master's degree in computer science from Arizona State. This was about, at this point, 12 years back now.
Okay.
So that's when as I landed here, I realized that having good credit always helps in the US. Like even when I was trying to rent my apartment, they wanted to pull my credit. I
Yep.
just landed, like I'm 2 days old in this country, so I don't have a credit history or a good credit score. So just getting an apartment for myself was a challenge without credit history. So that's when I got exposed to at least first understanding what a credit score is, what a credit history is, and how do I go about building it. So as part of that, I my banker recommended that I get a credit card. At that time, it was called the Chase Freedom. Um, I needed to achieve few milestones in order to first get that card and also get a bonus. The bonus was minimal from today's standards, now knowing what I know, but at that time it felt like a fortune because I could get $100 back if I spent $500, and I needed a new $600 Dell laptop. So I'm like, perfect. I get a $100 discount, and this is the best deal ever. So that's how I got my first credit card, and that's when I understood the whole landscape of credit history, credit score, and what different types of credit cards are available. And I started educating myself from that point because I was interested in finding good deals. And as part of finding good deals, I realized that credit cards can help me get that extra cash back and make the deal even better.
Yeah.
Um, Through that process, I realized that the points that I am earning through my spend, instead of redeeming it for cashback or just focusing on cashback, I could potentially use those points to transfer to travel partners and then leverage it to get a 90%, in some cases, 100% discount on hotel stays or flights. So that's when I started looking into it further. And that's how I discovered travel hacking. It had nothing to do with my day job of software engineering. It has nothing to do with my side project or passion of real estate investing. But it it probably has something to do with my mindset of being frugal and always wanting to find a good deal.
You're right. You described yourself as not a guru. Why is that distinction important? What do you think?
I think as a guru, there is a connotation that I'm trying to sell something. There is something in it for me. I'm trying to benefit out of this for myself without thinking about the benefits that I'm maybe providing to the listeners or viewers of this show or any other place that I speak at. That is not my intention. My intention is to help everyone elevate their
Right.
lifestyle. As part of that elevation, travel is a big piece because as we travel more, we understand about different cultures. We learn about different groups of people, how they live, how they interact, what is important for them, and so on. So it opens different avenues in our mind. And that is one benefit. Another benefit is we get relaxed. Like, let's say we just go on a luxury trip, we don't do anything, we don't even interact with people. That trip may not really open up new cultures or new um, mindset shifts in you, but it gave you like 5 days of relaxing time, and you come back home with better energy. So it eventually elevated your lifestyle. And in my case, I was never able to afford those $600, $1,000 per night resort stays.
Right. No
Um,
kidding.
but but now with credit cards, I can achieve that. So that's what I want to share, and that is my intent. That the people that I'm able to touch and share this with, they are able to experience the same benefits that I experienced from travel hacking. It is not about uh, me wanting to sell a particular course or a particular product. I am teaching a system that I personally used, and as a guru, I think when someone calls themselves a guru, they know everything and they are only preaching. In my case, I don't know everything. I am here to share my journey and what I have learned, but I also do want to listen from people who are in this. Um, for more years, less years than me does not matter. If there's an information that I don't have, then that they have, I am open and willing to listen to that, learn from it, and implement in my system. So that's why I treat myself as not a guru. I'm just sharing what I know.
Right. Well, the name this name of this podcast has worked really really well in calling it Ask Good Questions. That has been applicable to so many different things. And so like in this case, uh the question of, well, can I afford to travel? I'm thinking that you would say that's the wrong question.
That's right.
What's the right question then?
How do I travel? What do I need in order to travel? I think that is a better question, because if you are asking, can I afford this? You are thinking about having
Like,
to spend all of that extra amount that you maybe cannot afford
yeah,
or do not have income for. But if you ask, these are my expenses, this is my income, um, without overextending myself, without putting a strain on my family or my financial situation, how can I still fulfill my desire to travel
yeah,
to exotic locations in luxury? Or it doesn't even always have to be luxury or exotic. It can be a remote location that fulfills your desire to learn about a new culture, but
right,
you have to take a flight. It can be an economy. It doesn't have to be a business class flight, but even economy flight can be expensive at times.
yeah,
If you're traveling with family, with kids, you need more than one or two tickets, and that can get expensive as well. So
yeah.
everyone's style of travel is different. Everyone's budget is different, but everyone can and should travel, and this opens that door for all of us.
Well, is there a mistake that you see people make when that comes up again and again when they're first starting to try to earn points?
Yeah, I think a lot of people get subscribed to cards that we get sold while we are in store. Like if we visit Macy's, we have a $500
Yeah,
uh, bill, and at checkout they would say, if you sign up for this credit card, you'll get a 10% discount, and instead of 500, you're only paying 450. In the moment, yes, it's a good deal. But if you think beyond just that one transaction, if you don't apply for that card but apply for something different, uh, how can you still get that same $50 discount on that transaction but come out ahead even beyond that? And how does that one card affect your overall plan or framework
yeah.
to apply for cards? I
I
think
think
that is a mistake that many people make in the beginning.
I think what you're saying is begin with the end in mind. I mean, like Stephen, I'm thinking of Stephen R. Covey, who basically said, so I think you're saying when you're going out to start implementing this, go with what is it that you want to achieve, right?
Yes, totally. And that's where I think distinction between cards is important. Are you focused on cashback because you're tight on cash, or are you focused on travel because your everyday expenses are already covered by your income and you are living below your means? And this is something that you are using as a tool to get better experiences than you can otherwise. So uh, I think that is really important to begin with. Are you focused on that 10% cashback at Macy's, or are you focused on that outsized value while you're traveling with your family? And with that in mind, we can figure out what are the right cards and what cards do you want to focus on. Yeah.
Well, do you think that you have to spend a fortune to get to start earning points?
No, I think i- if we end up doing that, then we are actually going against the
Defeating.
principle. Yeah, like if you have to spend $2,000 extra a month to achieve those points, and then maybe you are getting 1,500 or 2,500 in travel, then did you really benefit from the system? Not really.
Well,
So
let's get into the nitty gritty.
yeah,
What
let's do it.
cards then are actually worth it in 2026? How how do you discern which ones are worth it and which ones are overhyped?
If you are being sold a card, I think by default it is overhyped.
Yeah.
So I gave one example of the Macy's card because I think that is always the case. If we step a foot in Macy's, you get some printouts at the door, at checkout, everywhere. There are other store cards like that. Like Target will try to sell you a card with
Oh yeah.
5% cashback.
Yeah, I can't think of any big box store that I haven't been in where they've tried to sell me a card.
Yeah, so I typically consider those as not good cards for me, um, because, and this is where the framework or the system comes in. It's not that those are bad cards or the stores are out there to get some money from you or
Yeah.
there's a hidden agenda for it. I'm not saying that. But for my goal, which is to travel more in luxury or to places that I otherwise would not be able to afford, it does not sit in that framework. So that's why defining your goal is really important. Then it's an easy decision at that counter when they try to sell you that card. This $50 discount on my current bill, is that worth it to me, or can I use a different card for the same spend? And maybe instead of $50 today, I am going to get $100 back, but there is delayed gratification because I will have to wait for a year to travel and then use this credit.
So
So
how are
that
you
would,
going to choose? How do you going to choose that card, the card or cards that you're going to get?
yeah. So again, keeping that framework or end goal in mind, you are going to be presented with multiple options from different banks. Chase will tell you that this is the best card ever. American Express will tell you that these three cards are the best. You don't need any other card. Um, but what are they offering? Are they offering in my case, the initial example that I used for my first card, I was offered $100 cashback at that time,
Yeah.
and it was important to me then because as a student I was strapped on cash. So
Mm-hmm.
$100, I was not thinking about to travel at that time. I was thinking, how can I get this $600 laptop for as low as possible? It helped me achieve that. So it was a good card at that time. Today if I get that offer, I am likely not going to take that
Right.
because I have higher spend today as a
Mm-hmm.
family. Every month, my spend is not 500 to $1,000. It's going beyond 2,000, 3,000, $4,000 in some months, unfortunately. So
Yeah.
um, I can look at other cards. So that's when I open up my horizon that, okay, next 3 months, I have $6,000 in spend coming up. Is there a card that offers me something better for that $6,000 in spend over 3 months period? And today I am looking at, let's say, Chase Bank. I'll talk about a rule in a few minutes why Chase is important. But Chase has a few cards that require a higher spend, like the Chase Sapphire Reserve or the Chase Sapphire Preferred. These are premium cards offered by Chase. And as premium cards, they have a higher annual fee, but with the higher annual fee, they also come with a higher bonus. So if we take an example of the Chase Sapphire Reserve, they require $6,000 in spend over 3 months. So in my case, that works out because I have predicted that in the next 3 months, I have $6,000 in spend.
Right.
They are giving me $150,000 worth, sorry, 150,000 points. So it is more than $100 that I would get with that other card for spending $500. So this is a good card for me. But then now I look at the annual fee. It is a $800 annual fee card. Can I afford that $800? Is my question now to myself. So I start breaking down the benefits that the card offers for $800. So
Okay.
in case of Chase Sapphire Reserve, they are offering $300 in travel. So I'm like, okay, my net net fee is $500 instead of 800. So I can maybe justify it. There are a few more benefits. And eventually, it all depends on, can you use that benefit or not? And how much is it worth to you?
Yeah. Well, you're talking about redeem. I mean, when do you decide whether or not you're going to redeem points or just keep accumulating? I know probably I have been guilty of just accumulating, and then I'll use it. But do you have a framework for deciding when you redeem versus just keep accumulating?
Yeah. First of all, guilty that I have done that myself too for years. When I started in this, I thought that I need a big stash of points to really use it, and I was not optimizing my spend really to earn a good chunk of points. At the same time, I was not even redeeming it. I was hoarding the points for like this once in a life trip kind of, that
Yeah.
I need
Yeah.
like 2 million points and then I'll take one trip
Oh,
and that is it.
yeah.
That mindset has changed as I have learned about the framework. So um, there is a term in the points and miles community called earn and burn. So as fast as you can earn them, try to burn those points. The reason is that the banks and the hotel chains or the airline programs, they devalue the points. Let's say you have 10,000 points. The 10,000 points can probably get you at least a one-way flight
Mm-hmm.
within the US from east to west coast or um, anywhere in between. If you find the right route, you can even, the 10,000 points can even get you to your destination and back home. Um, but if you hold those 10,000 points in a year, that airline program can decide that now this flight is worth 15,000 points.
Ah,
And now those 10,000 points are devalued. They are not really worth that much anymore.
yeah.
So that's why earn and burn is important. As of today, we know that this can be done. Do it. And then we'll figure out how to earn more points later.
So you have so coming to the U.S. and you're an engineer and you have also become a real estate investor. So how does paying business expenses? I think that, I mean, and I want to couch this in. Some people are going to say, "Well, I don't have a business," but you've got, and that is a great option to be able to have your spend be for business expenses, but not everyone's going to have that. So I want to address that as well. But let's first talk about, paying business expenses so that you gather up all these points.
Yeah. So same philosophy applies for businesses as well. Instead of using the same card or using a debit card, think about the upcoming spend that you will have. There will be, each business will have predictable spend. There will be unpredictable spend as well, but what you can predict at least and time it, try to do that. In my case, for example, for rental properties, I have to pay for insurance each year. Instead of escrowing the insurance every month as part of my mortgage payment, I choose not to escrow my insurance. Um, and then instead, I pay for my insurance annually. Now this is where system comes becomes important. As an investor, I have to always make sure that I'm tracking my policies, I am tracking the renewal dates, and I am making the payment on time. And I'm also timing my application for credit cards so that I can pay for those insurance policies and maximize the points that I will earn from it. If I'm not systematic about it, it's better to escrow insurance so that I'm
Right.
never out of coverage. So you have to understand the framework, the benefits of it, what you can actually do. If this is overwhelming, don't do it, because your intention may be right to actually earn the points and save some cash or money on the expenses that you already have. But if you are not able to follow it, then you will burn yourself out. In this case, your properties will be out of coverage, and it can be more expensive that way if something comes up at your rental properties and you're not insured properly.
Right.
So always there's a pros and cons. You have to weigh the benefits. In my case, I am okay to do this. um, I have systems in place, I have spreadsheets to track my insurance policies, what's my due date, what is the amount, so I can see that I have $3,000 worth of policies coming due at two of these different properties. Can I apply for a card and pay for those two insurance policies at the same time and get some points? In case of business, you also have to do bookkeeping. So how do you track expenses across multiple cards for different properties and still pay your taxes on time the right way? It's the cost of the system. So always weigh if you are able to follow that or not, and then um, build your system accordingly.
Well, and I would just say that on your Instagram um, homepage, you basically have a lot of different videos that will explain these types of things, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I talk more about the redemptions because that is really what's motivating me. Until I did not redeem for my first trip, I was what you mentioned. I was making that mistake of hoarding points and
Yeah.
not using them, thinking that I will use it for one big trip. But
Yeah.
once I actually went on a trip using points and realized how much more fun it was when I did not have to spend $6,000. Instead, I only spent like $1,000. Um, that's what actually hooked me onto this game, uh, or hobby, whatever you want to
Yeah.
term it as. And now I'm a points millionaire. When I was hoarding it, I only had like 300,000 points over 3 years of doing this, and now every year I earn more than 300,000 points because I am able to burn it for the right redemption. And taking trips is what actually makes it fun. Otherwise, I will burn out of building the
Right.
system and just earn points if it's not fun.
Well, what if somebody isn't a real estate investor? Um, are there any kind of like quote unquote hidden spending categories that they could route to do the same thing?
I think you have to look at every single spend that you make in your personal life. Even if it is not a business, you will have different categories of expenses.
Hmm.
In some cases, like let's say you have a home improvement project, you need some landscaping done, for example. It is costing you $1,000 to install a few bushes and maybe one or two trees, let's say. The landscaper will tell you that they will charge 3% to accept a credit card, or they may even say that they only take cash or check. They don't take a credit card. There are services out there that will accept a credit card and then they will send or mail a check to your landscaper or any other service provider.
Sure.
They will charge a fee. They will charge 3% typically. Now think about how much you can earn for those $1,000 in
Right.
expense.
What's the benefit?
Yep. So if that is worth it to you, then the 3% fee is worth it. A lot of times, people, including myself in the beginning, I would think that 3% is too much. I'm not paying for that. I will rather withdraw cash and then pay it directly to the landscaper. Or I would even think that if the service provider says they don't accept credit card, I don't have any other option but to pay with a debit card or a check or cash. Um, so we should always treat every expense as a hidden expense. Some you can easily use a credit card, so it's already part of our habit. Some expenses we don't question and we route it through however we are told we can. In case of previous example, for insurance, rental properties need insurance. But guess what? If you are a renter, if you are a homeowner, you still need insurance.
Yep.
In case of your audience, a lot of the people have retired.
Yeah.
You still need medical insurance, and retired folks typically pay for their own medical insurance, not their employer. So in that case, it is still an expense. Our natural instinct is that we put it on autopay on one card, or in some cases, escrow it with our mortgage, or put it on a debit card and forget about it. Instead, review it every year when it renews. Can you switch cards? Can you apply for a new card ahead of time?
Right.
And that $2,500 home insurance that you are supposed to pay in 2 months from now, can you plan ahead? Club it with maybe another $1,000 or $1,500 of expense, and now you have $4,000 of expense. Get a card that will give you 3 months to fulfill that $4,000 requirement for 100,000 in points. And now suddenly the same expense that was on autopay that you were not thinking, but you still had to pay for, is now getting you 100,000 points, which can be worth up to $2,000 if you travel
Right.
with it. So,
Well, how does somebody that has a busy life realistically manage something so it doesn't turn into a second job?
good question. Uh, it depends how deep you want to get into this, and if you are treating this as a hobby or something that you don't really actively think about, like I do, but you still want some benefit from it, you can give yourself 6 months that every 6 months you'll apply for a new card.
Okay.
And
Okay.
if you want to do a bit more, either travel more or you have more energy or enthusiasm to build this further, think about maybe once a quarter you'll apply for a new card.
Okay.
So in my case, I'll show you this. Uh, this is my folder that has many credit cards over here.
Oh, look at all those cards.
I mean, honestly, half of them are probably now expired or I've canceled them.
Yeah.
But there are probably 15 to 20 cards in here that are still active, and I'm paying about $5,000 in annual fee every year.
Yeah.
And this is between my wife and I. So it all depends on how deep you want to get into this. Do you want to like let it be fully passive and not really think about it? Go for one card a year and put all that insurance or a larger spend that you know comes up every year on that card, and don't do anything else.
Right.
I don't put a limit on myself. um, I think about my expenses, that in this quarter I have um, this expense, large expense. Can I move it to maybe 2 weeks later when I know that there is another expense coming up, which is also large, and club those together in a time frame that fits well, and then get a new card. And because I do this in two-player mode between my wife and I, it gets a bit more complicated, but I enjoy it. So I do it. You don't have to do it in two-player mode. There are people in the community who have four, five, six players. So it gets even more complex.
Yeah.
So it
Well,
all depends on your energy. Sorry.
walk us through a real trip that you booked
Okay.
entirely on points. Give us an example.
So I will let me talk about the framework real quick
Okay. All right.
for a second. That um, I treat points as currency. My points are, for me, are worth 2 cents every point. So if I have 100,000 in points, if each point is worth 2 cents, that is $2,000.
Mm-hmm.
If my redemption is going to be less than that, I will consider using cash instead of using points. Now, with that framework in mind, I book trips. And if it is going to cost me less than 2 cents per point to pay for that trip, I'm going to use a real cash, even the credit card, but eventually pay with cash, not points. So I took a trip. This is where it all started for me, or it clicked, because I was earning points all this while without really seeing the end vision or end goal.
Seen a
And
benefit.
I took a honeymoon trip. This was not fully paid with points. So it goes slightly against the question that you asked. But at that time, this was my first trip, so I did not know everything. So I booked my flights on Southwest using cash. I did not pay with points because I did not know how to redeem for good value. Southwest is typically 1.4 to 1.5 cents per point. So I was like, this is less than 2 cents. So I should not use my points here. And then I moved on. I just paid using cash. And then I looked at the hotel. I was traveling to Hawaii, um, Maui to be specific. And Maui has some really nice Hyatt hotels, Marriott, Hilton, and so on. I really liked the Hyatt Regency in Maui. It was $600 a night. I was planning to stay there for 6 nights, so that's 3,600 with resort fees and other taxes. Like you can round it up to maybe $4,000.
Right.
Um, if I wanted to redeem points, I needed 150,000 in points. 150,000 in points based on the 2 cents per points framework should be $3,000. Here I was getting 4,000. So I'm like, perfect. This is more than what my framework tells me to do, or redeem in terms of value. So I'm outsizing my own framework. So this is a great deal. Let's book it. So my 6 nights at the Hyatt Regency in Maui was fully covered. $0 out of pocket for that $600 a night room, because Hyatt does not even charge you for resort fee when you book on points. And
Oh,
resort fees is something I hate. Like
I know. It can be super expensive.
yeah,
Yeah.
and you don't really get much typically out of those resort fees. So not having to pay that, not having to pay for the room rate, great win. So that was my like first real redemption, which covered $4,000 for 6 nights in Maui. Instead, I paid 150,000 points, $0, and only paid for my flight um, from my home airport to Maui and back. So since then, I've also figured out how to leverage points for Southwest the best way, and also redeemed for flights. So now my redemptions have changed, or the vacations have changed to being fully covered by points, and I'm mostly paying for taxes generally, because flight taxes especially are not covered by points. So
Right. Right. Well, for people, I mean, there's a lot of people that listen to this podcast who are semi-retired or thinking about retiring. Is it too late to start building a point system?
I don't think so. I don't think it is ever late. It's never too late to travel. It's never too late to learn a new skill. And this combines both of it. You have to learn a new skill to be more systematic, build a framework, and then you are rewarded with travel. So I think you, if I ever thought that I was late, then I only discovered this when I was 25 years old, 12 years back.
Yeah.
Um, I could have said that I don't have credit history, so I can never qualify for a credit card, and then just stop there. But
Right.
instead, I changed the question: how can I do this, or how
Yeah.
can I get
How
cards?
can you? Absolutely.
and and how can I even catch up to someone who was born here and had credit history from day one, because they're maybe they were on their parents credit card as
Yep.
authorized users, so they
Yep.
had good credit already. By the time they were 18, they could apply for any card.
Well, how should they start? We're right. We're. I mean, we could go on and on. I think talking about this,
Yeah.
but we're almost out of time. How should somebody start if they really want to start doing this?
So I'll go back to what I said about cashback versus travel. Answer that question for yourself. um, See where your credit is at and what your habits are. If
Yeah.
your natural habit is not to keep an eye on your credit, and you are not systematic enough to pay the credit card bill on time, you are prone to um, carry balance on your cards.
That's
This game is not going to last for long for you. So
yeah.
think about your habits. You may not even want to change the habits, but think if this is going to take you further along in a good way, or are your habits against this hobby, and uh, they may not fit in your lifestyle or how you operate your finances. I think that is really important to answer before you even get deep into this. And then figure out a system for yourself that works. Like I said about the business spend, there are people who will be like, this is too much. This makes my bookkeeping harder. I cannot keep eh, track of all my expenses across 10 different cards and then account for them when the time comes to pay taxes. Don't do it if that's the case.
Right.
Make it easy on yourself. If you make it hard, then first 3 months maybe it will make sense, it will work, but then fourth month you will make a mistake, and then all the benefits that you gained in the first 3 months will go out the door.
Right.
So, and then I'll also leave with 3 points that I always do when I get a card. I think that that is part of the system, and that should be considered when you are getting into this. How are you going to scale this from one card to 10, 15, 20 cards? So what I do is, we talked about the spending, combining the spend within the same period and applying the card accordingly. Once I figure that out, step one, once I apply for the card, I use a app called Travel Freely. You can use that app. You can find 10 other apps. You can even use spreadsheet. You can even write it down on paper if you're old school. Doesn't matter. But find a way to track that new card that you just applied. You're tracking the due date. You are tracking the annual fee. You are tracking the benefits. because when the time comes to renew next year, is that card making sense? Should you
Right.
downgrade or should you cancel the card? And keep track of the spend requirements. If you have to spend $4,000 in 3 months to earn that 100,000 points, keep an eye on when that 3-month expires and make sure you meet that spend. Otherwise, you are paying that annual fee but not really getting the sign-up bonus.
Right. Okay.
The next step I do.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, we're almost out of time, so
Okay.
yeah. Finish up with your most important steps.
Yes. So once I added to travel freely, I enable autopay. If you
Okay.
don't enable autopay and miss a payment, your credit score is going to get affected.
Right.
You might be charged 25%, 30% in
No.
interest. And the benefit that you are going to get of traveling, all of that gets negated because you had to pay that interest. So that's my second step. And then third step, once I get the card and I have met the spend requirements, I'm not using it anymore. At that point, I add it to this folder so I know where the card is when I need it. It is not lost, and I haven't dropped it somewhere and someone else is not using my card without me knowing. So
Right.
that's my 3-step system once I get a new card.
So really, really quickly, where can people find you?
I am on Instagram at Rentals and Runways. You can see the title on the screen as well.
Rentals and
That's
Runways.
That's it.
Okay, so we are out of time. Thank you so much. This has been such helpful information. There's things I'm kind of going down this road, but you're just inspiring me to kind of step it up a little bit. So anyway, with that, thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you everyone for joining us on the Ask Good Questions podcast, and we will see you next time.
Today's episode is over, but we did ask good questions again, didn't we? Don't miss out as we broadcast live every Wednesday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time on W4CY Radio at W4CY.com. Join Benita Bell Anderson next week for more conversations with experts on finances, retirement, behavioral finance issues, health and wellness, and more. Until then, remember to ask good questions.